This is More to Say with Randy Naughton. Interesting conversations with interesting people. And we welcome you back to another edition of More to Say with Randy Naughton. By the way, if you missed any previous episodes of More to Say, you can always go to ktrs.com, click on the Sundays show tab, and then scroll down to More to Say, and you'll see all of our past episodes. And of course, pretty much all of the other episodes are on any other streaming platform that you can think of: Apple, Spotify, Audible, you name it. It's pretty much everywhere. You want to learn more about all of it, you can go to my website, randynaughton.com. That's Randy with an I. And I'm all over social media. I'd love it if you follow, you like, you share, and you subscribe. It'd be cool. At Randy Naughton is my social media handle. So I'd love it if you join along. You know, not only do we do the More to Say podcast, I love to cook. I'm a huge Buffalo Bills fan. I chronicle all of my trips back and forth to Buffalo for their season, which, by the way, it's some important games coming up. I have my mini horse Uno, so you can learn all about it on my website. And of course, my voiceover business that I do as well. I do want to thank our sponsors to the More to Say podcast. As always, my ride or die, Logan Janis. He is not only my podcast partner, who helps me put it together technically. He's pretty whiz. He's a smart guy, and I call him this ultimate St. Louis hype man. He too, he hosts his own podcast here in St. Louis called Mostly Superheroes. That's been going on for many years. Yeah, he loves his superheroes and his comics, but they literally talk about everything: TV shows, movies, pop culture, you name it. And they're always giving things away. So if you want to win a Lion's Choice gift card or movie tickets or t-shirts or whatever, go to mostlysuperheroes.com and make sure you lock in to Logan and the Mostly Superheroes podcast, because it's a pretty cool thing, and it's very St. Louis, which is great. And also, I'd like to thank another sponsor, Team Jakey. TeamJakey.org is an organization that formed a number of years ago when they lost their loved one to suicide. So they said, what can we do as a family, the Zeller family, to help others and the stigma and prevent suicide and the pain other people might feel. So they work very closely with Provident Behavioral Health here in the St. Louis area to help end the stigma and prevent suicide. And they have all these fun, cool events. They call themselves the fun uncle of mental illness. Doesn't sound right, but they do. They put on these awesome events, and they raise a ton of money for Team Jakey, and then they help other people kind of get through their mental health crises. So check them out, teamjakey.org. There's a huge gala coming up in February, which I'm very proud to be the MC for it for Provident, and it's in their huge ballroom at the Chase. We get all sparkly and pretty and have fun, and it's going to be a great night to raise a lot of money. So what we're talking about today is getting outdoors. If you do follow me on social media, one of my favorite hashtags is outdoors every day, whether it's on my bike, hanging out with my mini horse Uno, just walking around a lake, being on my wave runner, being on a canoe. I love being outdoors. It's no matter what weather. Even ask me, in the snow? Yes, there's no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothing. If you're bundled up, you can enjoy any bit of weather any day. So if you are an outdoors person, if you want to be an outdoors person, there's a super cool event coming up at the St. Charles Convention Center. It's called the Gateway Outdoor Summit. It pretty much covers everything about being outdoors. And we're going to talk right now to Brad Kovach. He is the Deputy Director and Publisher of River City Outdoors and Terrain Magazine. Thank you very much for joining me on More to Say, Brad.
Hello. Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
And that is truly one of my favorite hashtags is outdoors every day. I believe, obviously with all the screen time, and what is your outdoor activity of choice? I got to get to know that first.
Sure. And actually, I wrote down that hashtag. I'm going to check it out. I'm always looking for, more
Steal it,
information out
man.
there.
Use it. I'm fine with
Yeah,
that.
great. So my favorite outdoor activity, I do two things fairly regularly. I am a mountain biker,
Mm-hmm.
so I'll do that probably once a week, and then I'm also a trail runner, so I'll do that a couple times a week. And I have friends, friend groups for each, which is, probably the best part. I mean, the activity itself is fantastic and fun, of course,
Right.
but finding people that you can connect with and getting out there with them and then having a little bit of an adventure and then afterward socializing. That really is what de-stresses me on a weekly basis.
That's fantastic. And that's one of the things where somebody might want to start cycling or they might want to try, hiking or canoeing or things. It's like, you know what? I love to do all those things. My husband doesn't. So I try to find somebody to do it with. It just makes it more enjoyable. It's safer, especially for a woman. Um, and it just gives you that sense of outdoorsy, feeling like you're connected to the outdoors, which I just got back from Vermont and oh my gosh, I just love being in the wilderness. I love it. So that is awesome. Tell me about Terrain Magazine. Now, I just spent some time yesterday with former Post-Dispatch writer Kathleen Nelson. She
Sure.
doesn't she write for Terrain Magazine?
She does. She's been
Yes.
writing for us for, gosh, I mean, the magazine's been around for 11 years. I bet Kathleen has been writing for us for 10 of those years.
Isn't
And
that
she's
funny?
great.
I'm talking about it 2 days in a row. That's crazy. I'm like, that's
Yeah.
the same magazine. That's awesome.
Yeah. So a little bit about the magazine. Like I mentioned, we've been around a little bit over 11 years or about 11 years. And really the focus is kind of just what we talked about a little bit is getting people outside.
Right.
St. Louis and Missouri and Southern Illinois are blessed with amazing outdoor trails and parks and all these great resources and assets. And some people know, and that's great, but a lot of people I don't think really know all that we have here. So the job of the magazine is to tell people, where they can go, groups they can be involved with, events they can take part in. Um, yeah, destinations, education, knowledge, just sharing all of that information with the hopes that people are picking it up, paging through it and then making a list of things to do outdoors and getting out and enjoying
That's
it.
awesome. Now, how do we get Terrain Magazine?
So we are distributed for free here in St. Louis and actually throughout Missouri and Southern Illinois, although most of the concentration is in St. Louis. And we're at most of your local bike shops, running stores, outfitters, but then we're also at a lot of rec centers, um, grocers, brew pubs, coffee shops, places where people gather, where
Right.
community happens. And so we'll drop a stack off and hopefully you stop in and pick one up. If you're really interested in getting it and want to see exactly where those places are, you can go to our website,
I'm writing it down. What is it?
Terrain. Oh, sure. It's Terrain, TERRAIN,
Mm-hmm.
and then -mag.com. And there's a page on that website that tells you all the individual locations. There's about 350, I want to say, locations where you can get the magazine.
You know what? Because I have this really cool bicycle that my husband bought me. I can't remember when he got it for me, but I love cycling. I love getting out there, but I don't really know the trails. And some of them
Yeah.
are a little too secluded. And, I'm a big safety person. And I'm like, that would be cool. And I know there's a ton of Facebook groups and things like that. So I wrote it down because I'm going to go hunt down the magazine. I'm going to try to get it and maybe connect
Ma-
with a group come springtime. So that sounds awesome. But being outdoors, I mean, I grew up in a large family. We didn't have a ton of money to go to Disney World and, hotels and the Caribbean and things like that. 7 kids. What did we do for our vacation? We packed up the station wagon and threw the tent and the screen house and all 9 of us with a bunch of food and drove up to Canada and we spent a week outdoors. I think that's where my love of being outdoors came from. My love of animals, my love of nature, nature photography, which is what I do a lot as well. Um, Kids don't get out enough, do they? They're locked into their screens and games.
Yes, unfortunately, that has been the way things have progressed. I like you, did a lot of outdoor stuff growing up, and that really does make such a lifelong difference. If you can get your kids outside now when they're younger and kind of I call it like getting bit by the bug. Once you have the outdoor
Yeah.
bug, you're more likely to make that a lifelong pursuit. And it doesn't have to be anything organized or fancy. Get into the habit of taking walks at night with your kids, or when I was growing up, my parents, this was the 80s when I was growing up, so things were a little looser. But gosh, I mean, they'd throw open the door, especially during the summer, and kind of shoo me outside.
Get out,
And I'd
right.
come home at dinner. It'd be 8 hours later, and I would ramble back home. So I don't know if that's appropriate anymore. Maybe it is, depending on where you live. But just having the freedom to go outside and have some adventures is really, a life-changing thing.
And even if you build it into your daily family routine, okay, an hour outside, go play kickball, look for spiders, whatever you do, get outside and enjoy the outdoor air. So we're going to take a break right now. When we come back, we're going to finish our conversation with Brad Kovach, Deputy Director and Publisher of Terrain Magazine and River City Outdoors. There's a great event coming up in St. Charles, November 14th and 15th and 16th at their convention center. You're going to want to learn about this. If you want to get outdoors, if you're an outdoors person, this is going to be the exhibition for you. We are talking to Mr. Brad Kovach. He is the Deputy Director and Publisher of River City Outdoors and Terrain Magazine. By the way, if you want to get Terrain Magazine, terrain-mag.com. What we're talking about specifically today is a super cool event happening at the St. Charles Convention Center. It is Friday, November 14th through Sunday, November 16th. And am I out of town? I think I might be out of town for a Bills game, but man, I'm bummed I'm going to miss it. But I'm definitely getting the magazine because I love to be outdoors. If you know me and you follow me on social media, hashtag outdoors every day is one of my favorites. So we're talking to Brad about this particular expo here in St. Charles. How long has this been going on out there?
This, I believe, is the seventh or eighth year. We had a COVID year or two, which is why I don't have the exact count. I kind of forget,
Yeah.
but around that time.
All right.
Yeah.
And just give us a laundry list of what people can find when they go there.
Oh yeah, we're excited this year because we have more activities than ever. Now, the backbone of the expo is exhibit booths, of course. We have about 150 exhibit booths, which run everything from outdoor retailers, so your bike shops and running stores and stuff like that, to organizations who are perhaps groups for a particular sport or activity, like running groups, cycling groups, and then some of the booths are nonprofits and other organizations who are, sharing information about what they do, trying to engage the attendees and maybe becoming members or taking part in some of their programs and that sort of stuff. So that's kind of the main part of the expo, but the part that I think excites families who come, and there's a lot of those, is activities. So we have a rock climbing wall where you can scale a 23-foot rock climbing,
I am telling
simulated.
you, rock climbing looks like, you think you're going to just harken back to the days of the jungle gym. It is harder than it looks. It really
Yeah,
is.
yeah, it is hard. And this is the rock wall here is a nice opportunity to try it out because you're harnessed in. There's, safety built into it. So it's a good chance to try the activity without having to feel like you're unsafe or, not knowing what you're doing because someone is there helping you through it. Um, and similarly, we have a mountain bike trial course there. So you can hop on a mountain bike,
How do you do
go
that
over some
inside?
yeah, it's inside. You can go over some simulated obstacles. And again, there's instructors and guides there to kind of help you through it. If you're a first timer, everything is very safe and, minimal impact. We're not doing any big jumps or anything, obviously. But, and again, another fun way for families and kids to kind of try out mountain biking. And then, we have some other activities like a scavenger hunt. We have Santa Claus on site doing free photos for kids. So it's called
Nice.
Canoe with Claus. So you sit in a canoe with Santa Claus with a nice cool backdrop and get photos taken for the holidays. So we try to build in a lot of stuff that's family friendly and fun so that when you come, you don't just feel like you're walking aisles, you're actually engaged and doing things and being
And
active
and
while
it
you're there.
sounds like there's stuff for pretty much all ages to engage the children and grown-ups alike.
Absolutely. We also knew this year we're having presentations, which we've not done before. So throughout Saturday and Sunday, we're going to have speakers on a number of different topics, whether it's long distance paddling or local conservation efforts or how cycling can change kids' lives. So those will be ongoing throughout the day. So if you're an adult or and maybe the kids are off climbing the rock wall and you want to, catch 20 minutes of a presentation, we'll have that going on as well.
Oh, that's awesome. And in our previous segment, we talked about how connecting with people with like interests in certain groups is good too. And will we be able to kind of connect with some of these clubs, like running clubs or cycling clubs? Will they be there? Say, I might want to join a cycling club and meet up with you every Saturday or so and go for a nice 20, 30 mile bike ride. Will there be that as well?
Yeah, not only will we have clubs there with booths who you can meet and sign up and learn about what they do throughout the year, but we will actually have a run on Friday morning with the St. Charles Runners Group,
Nice.
Runners Club. I'm sorry. That's at 9 o'clock before the expo. So if you want to run a 5K or just a mile, you can show up and run with the St. Charles Group. And then on Sunday, we're going to have a bike ride with Big Shark Bicycle Company and Southside Cyclery. So you can ride your bike on Sunday morning and then come to the expo. So yeah, not only are we trying to connect people with the groups, but we're trying to give them a chance to go do it.
I keep telling myself I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And it's something I want to do, but I just don't. My husband's like, "Have you ridden your bike?" But I've just been crazy busy this fall, especially flying back and forth from Buffalo. I'm a season ticket holder for the Bills, like a knucklehead. So I've been a little bit busy this fall, having a great time so far. And I see one of the people that are going to be there and they're sponsoring the Canoe with Claws is Big Muddy Adventures. That's always something I wanted to do because they take you on the Mississippi down by the Gateway Arch in this big canoe. And have you done that particular venture?
I have, yeah, a number of
Yeah.
times. Big Muddy Adventures is great. So not only do they do Mississippi, you're correct on that, they also do some trips on the Missouri. So they stick to the bigger rivers. But and the best thing about it, in my opinion, is they have these giant canoes. They're about 30, 25, 30 feet long, fit up to 10 or 12 people in them. So, people are often a little apprehensive about the larger rivers and getting out on
Right,
them,
right.
but you're in these big canoes, um, completely visible and safe. And, you have people to help you paddle, so you're not really out there stressing it too much. And again, you're building community and you're socializing, and they always stop on a nice sandbar river island, which is beautiful. If you didn't turn your head and look at the city, you would think that you were on an island anywhere else. I mean, it's sandy beach,
That's
water you
awesome.
can swim in, forests. They build a campfire, they make food. It's amazing, and you're just a few miles from downtown St. Louis.
That's pretty amazing. Get outdoors and you'll see that stuff. We keep saying that, right, Brad? One thing
Right?
that really caught my eye about this big exhibition at the Gateway Outdoor Expo is the photo contest because, one of my hobbies since I was in high school has been nature photography, animals, landscapes, things like that. You have a whole photo gallery there?
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked about that. So each year we have a reader photo contest in Terrain magazine. That's in our November December issue, which just came out right at the end of October.
I got to get me one of
And
those.
yeah, and so it's great. We a couple years ago we started printing all the winners from the photo contest poster size, and then we'll bring them to the expo and have them all on easels. There's usually around like 20 some odd photos, and make a little photo gallery out of it. So it's just another thing at the expo to kind of create some conversation, give a little different aspect of the outdoors. But you can walk through the little photo gallery, see all the winners, maybe get inspired to go out and take some photos yourself.
Absolutely. And I spoke with an iconic photographer one time whose name escapes me, and he was extremely elderly. He came on TV with us, but he was the gentleman, he was a Vietnam War correspondent, and then he also took the iconic photo of the Beatles in the pool in Miami with their eyeballs just sticking out.
Okay.
And I asked him, and I said, because I've got a nice camera, I've got a lot of nice equipment, but I find mainly I do most of my photos with this. And I said to him, "What do you think about camera phones and blah 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 blah?" He goes, "Oh, I wish I had it," dragging it along. He said the best camera to have is the one you have with you. And I've taken some amazing photographs with my phone. So there you go.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I know that some of our winners in the photo contest in the last few years have been camera phones, which you didn't
Yeah.
see, 5, 6, 7 years ago.
No,
That
they're
wasn't
shooting
the
whole
norm.
movies on those now. I was
Yeah.
intrigued by the micro grants for all awards. What is that?
Yeah, so the foundation that I work for, which is called River City Outdoors, and it publishes the magazine, which I also work for. Each year, well, this is the second year, but each year for the last 2 years, we've awarded grants to groups who are doing kind of grassroots outdoor recreation projects. And so the submission period actually, unfortunately, just ended. So you can't apply for 2025, but we'll have them again in
Yeah.
2026. But at the expo, we will be awarding those grants. And so last year, for example, we gave a grant to a local group who was building a mountain bike trail in Carondelet Park,
Nice.
and they needed some money for a trailhead sign that had some wayfinding on it and a little description of what the trail entailed. And so they won a grant for that last year. Another grant went to a group who is trying to start a whitewater paddle park in St. Louis. So they needed some money to fund a study to see where that could be located and what the logistics and particulars behind that
Right.
project might look like. So they got an award or a grant. So we try to keep it hyper local, and they're not huge grants, but it's seed money to help get people started in some cool local outdoor projects.
Well, this sounds like an incredible event happening at the St. Charles Convention Center. It's called the Gateway Outdoor Summit, happening Friday, November 14th through Sunday, November 16th. Pretty much anything anybody can do, kids of all ages. There's going to be gear, there's going to be base camp presentations, hands-on activities like the mountain biking and the rock climbing, things for kids to do. Canoe with Santa Claus. You can get a photo taken. You can maybe connect with some of these groups that we talked about, the photo contest. I'm kind of bummed I'm going to miss it. I am going to be out of town at a Bills game, but I'm going to put it on my calendar for next year, and I'm going to hunt down one of those magazines. There are expected to be 6,000 people attending this. Best of all, it is free to attend
Correct.
at the St. Charles Convention. Free parking, just waltz on in, and there you go. If we want to learn more about this event, Terrain Magazine or River City Outdoors, where can we go, Brad?
Go to gatewayoutdoorexpo.com. For the magazine, you can go to terrain-mag.com, which we talked about. And if you want to know more about our foundation, that's rivercityoutdoors.org.
Excellent. Well, I thank you very much for joining me today. You've been a great
Thank
guest. Good
you.
luck with the whole expo. That's great.
Thank you. And I'm going to look up Mostly Superheroes podcast. I want to be on that one, and I'm not
Oh,
joking.
yeah, my guy is great. You'll love Logan. Mostlysuperheroes.com. Ask for Logan. Tell him Randy sent you.
All right.
So I'd like to thank Logan Janis from the Mostly Superheroes podcast. He is my right-hand man, the ultimate St. Louis hype man. And again, mostlysuperheroes.com. And of course, teamjakey.org, which is another sponsor that we partner with throughout the year to bring awareness to mental health and ending the stigma and suicide prevention. So check them out as well. Mostly teamjakey.org. So thanks for joining us again on the More to Say podcast. We appreciate it. You can find me on my website, randynaughton.com, all over social media at Randy Naughton, and of course on the Big 550 KTRS. Thanks for joining us. This has been More to Say with Randy Naughton. Interesting conversations with interesting people. Be sure to like or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.